This is me just trying to like compensate for the fact that this is super late and I'm very sorry. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I'm pulling a real reading rush. Honestly, do I know anything about it? Not really. I can't even speak today. I'm getting so upset about this book. Hey, I'm Rachel, this is Let Me in the Library, and hopefully I'm posting this in time. Honestly, who knows, but I'm trying to do the January book tag. This is a book tag created by Jan from Jan Agaton, a great person and a great booktuber who you should go check out, so I'm going to leave her linked in the description, but this is her book tag to celebrate the beginning of the year. It's the January book tag. Very cute, very clever. I love it. Love the puns. So hopefully I'm doing this in time. If I do, it's probably like night, but let's do it anyway. The first question is, what was the last book that you read last year and the first book that you read last year, if you can remember? So the last book that I read in 2021 was 15 Dogs. Basically 3 Greek gods who are like, what if we gave dogs human consciousness? I wonder if they would suffer the way that humans suffer or if they would find a way to be happy. And basically they're like, well, they're definitely going to suffer because humans are miserable. But they basically place bets and they're like, if even one dog is happy at all, then I win. I don't really remember like why they were even trying to like fight this way and like what you would get if you won. But this was the bets that they made. So it's a very sad story because 15 dogs get human consciousness and then immediately like a bunch of them do not feel good anymore. Some of them die. If you're not okay with reading like animal cruelty or animal death, this is definitely not the book for you. But if you can stomach it, it is pretty interesting, and I really did kind of like the philosophical ideas of it. I enjoyed it. I think I gave that one 4 stars. And then the first book that I read of 2021, I gave 1 star, and I absolutely fucking hated that book, and that was The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. I was recommended this book based on my tastes by my library, and that was the point at which I began to doubt my library. Because what the fuck? I hated that book so much. This is a story about a woman who goes cave diving. It's a very risky job, so you tend to be paid pretty well to do this kind of work, but it is difficult to get in there. She kind of just like schmoozes her way into there without actually being qualified for it, but she's also like, wait a minute, why does this job pay as well as it does? Because it's really above average. Plus, there's only one person who is really monitoring the job, and usually there's a whole team, so that's really suspicious. And I was getting excited because I was like, oh my god, maybe this is like Annihilation, which is one of my favorite books. It is also sapphic, which made me very excited. But in the end, it was just full of really annoying characters. I don't even know what the author was trying to do with this story because it just felt all over the place. There was no logic in this book. I can't even speak today. I'm getting so upset about this book because it just seemed like for someone doing something so dangerous, she really was not considering what was actually going on here, the risks that she was taking, what would come of that, the consequences, and she would just do things that made me very upset. And there was also just a lot of back and forth between her and her love interest, and it wasn't cute at all. It was just really annoying, and I didn't like that book. So there you go. But this year has started off a lot better because the next question is, what is the first book that you read this year? And the first book I read, I didn't give 1 star, so we're already off to a better start. The first book that I read in 2022 was Finlay Donovan is Killing It. This is kind of a comedy of errors type of story about a woman who writes murder mystery romances. Interesting genre, would love to read a book like that someday. She's really struggling with her new book, and she ends up meeting with her agent in a Panera, and they're talking about the book, but they don't really say that they're talking about the book because she keeps saying stuff like, oh, my last 5 murders were just really clean, and this one seems like it's gonna be really messy, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. And her agent is like, don't worry about it, honey. We're gonna get it all cleaned up, and then we're gonna get your next kill, and it's gonna be amazing. And neither of them mention the book part. So of course, there's someone who overhears this, and she's like, are you a murderer? Because I have a nice checkbook and I could write you a $50,000 check to go kill my husband. Now Finlay Donovan is like, listen, I didn't mean this. This is not what I meant. But the person who writes the check is like, I will not take no for an answer. Please go kill my husband. I was kind of expecting dial A for Auntie's level shenanigans. That's not quite what we get because there is a sense of comedy, but it's still more like trying to be a mystery. So for me, I felt like the genres were a little bit mixed together, but I still did really enjoy it. There is a situation where she basically ends up with a dead body and is like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I enjoyed that book. I think I gave that one 3.5 stars because I did enjoy it, but like I was saying, it did feel a little bit muddled with what the author ended up doing with that plot, but I liked it overall. So the next prompt is to share 3 of your reading goals for this year. I have an entire video where I talk about all of my different reading goals for 2022, but I guess the ones that I would prioritize the most are finally reading my TBR veterans that have really just been sitting there, been on every single TBR when I hold up the book and I say, I'm so excited to read this, and I never read it. I really want to get through those because at this point it's just embarrassing for me. I just need to read those. The other goal that I really want to focus on is reading my friends' recommendations. So a lot of my friends will give me recommendations and then I'm like, cool, I'm gonna write that down, but then I don't actually read it. Or I just totally forget that they ever recommended it to me. I would rather pick up books that my friends recommend to me because I think that they might know my taste, or at least we could get a sense of if they know my taste and what they like. And then my other thing is to generally read less, which is what I'm calling this goal to generally prioritize things other than reading. I feel like reading always seems like it's such an intellectual thing and it's so good for you and whatever, but I don't really have a lot of time in my life to do other things that I'm really interested in, and I have a lot of interests outside of just reading. And also some of that includes like making more videos, which I would have more time for if I wasn't pressuring myself to read a lot. So last year I read 366 books, and that was a little bit too much, to be honest. So this year I'm really trying not to read as many books. The next prompt is to share 3 of your most anticipated titles for the year. So there's one that I feel like everybody is going to be like, yes, and that is Battle. It's releasing on August 23rd. It is the next big, fantastic book that is out there in the adult fantasy world. Maybe. It's a book by R.F. Kuang, who we all know and love from the Poppy War. She is releasing this new book, and it has a lot of like little footnotes and stuff from Oxford. And you know, honestly, do I know anything about it? Not really. I think it's dark academia. Maybe. Could be magic. I don't know. But to be honest, I don't really care because it's by R.F. Kuang, and that means it's going to be really good, and I'm excited for it. The next one that I'm really excited for is the last one that I'm really excited for this year is Portrait of a Thief. This is coming out on April 5th. And this is kind of like a heist story where a bunch of people are like, wait a minute, don't y'all just take a bunch of artifacts from around the world and steal it and put it in museums? Why don't we just steal it back? I really enjoy heists, and the fact that it's kind of like a Chinese American team that's taking down this society of art people who just steal art and are like, keep it behind here, and then you're gonna go pay and go look at it. Even though it doesn't belong to them, it's kind of like reclaiming that history, reclaiming a part of yourself, your identity, and stuff like that. So that seems really interesting to me. I really hope that I love that book. And then on to the next question. We're going to talk about some of the goals that I did reach and did not reach for last year. Once again, this is in the other video, so I'm sorry for reiterating it again, but some of the goals that I did reach were finishing some series, reading some more genres, hosting a readathon, making more time for videos, doing some bullet journaling videos, accomplishing what I call 1K subscriber energy, and reading 365 books. That was a lot, and I did all those things, and I'm really proud of myself for doing that. But there were also a couple of goals which I did not quite accomplish, such as reading more of my own TBR, which I did a little bit of, but definitely not enough for me to consider it as a done goal. Same for the next goal, which was reading more of my physical TBR/ebooks. I just generally consume everything by audiobook, and I kind of want to change that. I also had a goal to participate in Believeathon, and I'm really sad that I honestly didn't accomplish this goal because I made a TBR for it and then I didn't really read everything on time. I do feel bad because that was the last round of Believeathon, but I guess in a way you can kind of always participate in a readathon if you just want to like do it by yourself, but it just seems kind of sad to me that I didn't get to really enjoy it and be there with everybody else and participate. The next question, are there any 2022 releases that you heard of, but you have no desire to read them? Yes, I am not interested in that new Hanya Yanagihara book. I don't even remember what it's called. Something Paradise Kiss? New Paradise? Paradise? to Paradise. I'm not really interested in reading any Hanya Yanagihara. I never read A Little Life. I never read any of her other books. Generally, I'm not really comfortable reading a book written by a woman about the suffering of gay men that literally is just like torture, 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 torture. And like, I just found out what the end of the book is about from somebody talking about it. And it makes me even more not want to read it because it's literally just super depressing, makes you really upset. And I don't really feel like it's appropriate for her to be writing stuff like that, and I just am not very interested. So in general, I'm not really trying to read any of her stuff, even if her new stuff isn't about that. I don't know, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The next question: what are some reading habits that you want to change this year, if any? Not reading the book in time for the book club discussion. I'm pulling a real reading rush every single time that we do a live show, and I feel really bad about it because why am I this way? Especially when it's like my own live show, I just feel extra bad about it. I overcommit to a lot of things, and then when it comes time to do it, I procrastinate, and then I read the book like right before the show. So I think I usually put them off because I want to have it fresh for the discussion, but it's pretty bad if I don't even know how the book ends. I feel bad, and I'm sorry, everybody. I'm really trying to be better about that this year. I'm really going to try to make sure that doesn't happen again. I really want to also stay on top of my buddy reads because I feel like I get, again, overexcited and I overcommit and I'm like, oh, let's buddy read everything. And then I usually get left in the dust because other people are like, how much longer can I possibly wait for you to read this thing? So they end up reading it without me, which is not like their fault. I just personally feel bad because I'm not prioritizing reading that book along with them. I think this all generally will kind of like fix itself with the whole read less goal that I have, because I'll just have to seriously commit to only a handful of goals, and that means that I will prioritize those things, hopefully. So, you know, new year, new me, I hope. Next question is, are there any adaptations that you're excited for this year? And the answer is yes, because I have heard that they are adapting 2 things that I'm excited about. I guess also another thing. All right, so I have 3 things I'm excited about. First off, Heartstopper. They are turning that into a TV show. I read all of Heartstopper last year and I loved it. It was really cute. It has really important mental health discussions, and it's also just like really wholesome in general in terms of not just the relationship between the 2 boys, Nick and Charlie, but also their friend group. And it's just really cute. I really can't wait to see how they adapt that to the screen. The other one is Daisy Jones and the Six. I did read this last year, and to be honest, unpopular opinion, I didn't think it was as amazing as everybody else does, mostly because of the ending and the kind of things that I wanted from it, because I was expecting more of like a tragic starlet type of story, and that's kind of how we started off, but not quite how we ended. You know, the end of Daisy Jones and the Six, I don't know. But I still think it would be really cool to see it adapted to the screen, because that's honestly where I think that this could really shine as a story. Possibly also changing the ending, which I didn't enjoy. So that's why I think it would be better on the screen. The other one that I'm super excited for is Shadow and Bone Season 2, because it's coming this year and I'm so excited for it. I read all of the Grisha-verse books, like the first 3 Shadow and Bone books, and I thought they were fine. Like, a lot of y'all are like, oh my god, they're terrible, but I didn't think that they were bad at all. I gave most of them like 4 stars, so like, not y'all having no taste. Anyway, I thought that they were fine, and I like the show a lot. I think it's really fun, and definitely enjoyed watching Season 1, and I'm excited to see what they do with Season 2, even though if you asked me anything about the books, I'd be like, ask somebody else, because I don't really remember, but I thought they were pretty good and I liked them, but I don't remember. Please ask somebody else. Next question. What is your favorite bookish memory of 2021? Easily, I have said this a million times, Reader Dare. Super fun. The first time that we ever did Reader Dare back in June, we had the whole exchange of books. You had no idea what it is you would be reading, which was just super fun to see what your friends recommended to you. You had 3 days to do it, and it was all just really chaotic and exciting, but it had like the sleepover energy that you had when you were young, like when you just stay up all night and you just laugh about everything. And because of all the dares on the challenge wheel, there were just so many funny things that we did that I think it just brought everybody closer together, because you had to be silly and you had to be funny and you had to be willing to do stuff like that. And, you know, there are a lot of really cool people in this community that I met through Reader Dare, because each of the different hosts would bring somebody along. And I think just generally we all got to know each other a little bit better and just having a good time. And I can't wait to do it again this year. The last question is, what are the carryovers from last year that you still plan on finishing? And good lord, do I have a lot. I have The Wild Ones, which is a book that I had to read for a live show for the Hot Dog Book Club, the Hot Girl Book Club, hosted by Noelle from Noelle 7 Pages, and I didn't read it in time. I read half of it, but I didn't finish it. So this goes back to that whole thing where I'm problematic. Then I have Where the Drowned Girls Go. Not as problematic, but I did intend to read this a lot earlier, and unfortunately I didn't. But this is the new Wayward Children book, and I'm really excited about it. I haven't picked it up yet, and hopefully I'll finish it before January ends. Monster Volume 6, and this is a part of the manga series that I'm really excited to continue, but for some reason I keep getting stuck here at Volume 5. That is it for the January book tag. I am not actually going to be tagging anybody because a lot of my friends have already done this, and generally, I don't know if people want to do this if it's not January anymore, but if you do and you see this, I tag you. This is me just trying to like compensate for the fact that this is super late. Thank you so much to Jan for tagging me, and also all of my friends who also did this tag and tagged me. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you for watching this. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like this video and do all that good stuff in the area down here below this video. Do that, it'd be really cool of you. And that's it from me. I'm Rachel, this is Let Me in the Library. I'll see you next time.